Fantasy fanfiction. Myth resurrection. I can plan the future in advance. Chapter 11. After checking the results of the day's practice, Pei-jun took a shower, then went to bed and looked through his phone. There are quite a lot of unread messages in a day, mainly updates from news public accounts he has recently followed and some adventure travel bloggers. Pei-jun was flipping through the pages when he suddenly saw several WeChat messages mixed in among the pile of messages. Pei-jun was surprised, someone was looking for him. When I clicked on it, I saw that these messages were sent by a person with the name, Beauty Song's birthday on July 8. Pei-jun was confused, who is this? Clicked on the message. The news started with a photo of a long-legged beauty dressed like a lady, sitting in a cafe and, accidentally, revealing her long legs in black stockings. Below the photo seems to be a message sent by this long-legged beauty. The general meaning is that I have been tired recently and finally relaxed a bit today. I came to have a coffee with my little sister. After reading the news, Pei-jun was a little confused. Who is this? Why send him such a message? Pei-jun thought for a moment and seemed to understand something in his heart. Is it for sale? Have you ever seen that people often tease people on the internet, and they always start in this way? First post a photo of a beauty, and then pretend to be very close to you, complaining that life is tiring and work is very busy. Pull twice. Finally, little brother, do you want to make a date? However, the long-legged beauty in the photo seems familiar. Pei-jun looked at the photo twice more uncertainly, and also looked through the previous chat history. Good guy. You won't know until you see it, but you will be shocked when you see it. When did you become such a licker? Pei-jun was stunned when he looked at the messages on his phone that he had sent for several years like a dog. Now he finally remembered who this woman was. It's no wonder that Pei-jun has poor memory. After all, including his previous life, he hasn't seen this woman in nearly 10 years. Song Yan. Thinking of this woman, Pei-jun's expression suddenly turned cold. In the previous life, I remember it was the 3rd year after Shinhwa's revival, and Song Yan suddenly contacted him warmly like this. At that time, he had not yet realized the true face of this woman. At that time, he went through ups and downs, but finally managed to catch up with the revival of Shinhwa with his desperate efforts and ruthlessness, and became somewhat famous in Hangzhou. It was at this time that Song Yan contacted him warmly. As the goddess in his past life, Pei-jun quickly became obsessed with Song Yan's warm contact. He even felt that he was very lucky and that God was treating him well. At that time, Pei-jun held Song Yan in his hands like a goddess, and the resources and spiritual treasures obtained through hard work were given priority to Song Yan. Pei-jun, whom she disliked, picked it up and used it himself. It can be said that dog licking has been brought to the extreme. At that time, Song Yan also cared very much about Pei-jun, and she would always ask for help, which made Pei-jun feel even happier. Just when Pei-jun thought that such a happy life would last forever. The 4th year of Shinhwa's revival. At the beginning of the year, Pei-jun was seriously injured during an operation to search for spiritual treasures. When Pei-jun returned home with his seriously injured body, he expected Song Yan to be worried and concerned. But what I didn't expect was Song Yan's cold words. A useless person. Who is going to take care of you, a dead man? Why don't you just die outside? It was of some use at first, but now it's useless. Song Yan was cursing, while looking at Pei-jun's desperate and disbelieving eyes. She plundered all the valuable things in the house. Then, regardless of Pei-jun's pleas, he walked away without any hesitation. What's even more cruel is that this woman climbed into the bed of another man who was stronger than Pei-jun the next day. At that time, Pei-jun dragged his seriously injured body to look for her, and was almost beaten to death in the end. Later, Pei-jun found out that the reason why Song Yan suddenly became enthusiastic about him was because her last man had an accident and she had no one to rely on at that time. It happened that Pei-jun was somewhat famous at that time, and he was very obedient and affectionate to her, so Song Yan suddenly contacted him. Think of him as a takeover. This is a who is unscrupulous, and has no bottom line. Now Pei-jun has long recognized the true face of this woman, so when he looked at the message she sent, there was only sarcasm and sneer in his eyes. It's exactly the same as his previous life, it's disgusting. Are you targeting him again? Pei Jun's eyes were slightly confused, because the scene in front of him did not appear in his previous life at this time, and Song Yan was still indifferent to him, which lasted until the third year of Shinwa's revival. But no matter what, in this life, he will never pay attention to this kind of garbage again. Recalling his past life experience, Pei Jun sneered and left her alone without replying at all. Replying to this kind of garbage made his hands dirty. Then I watched some recent news and travel videos posted by travel bloggers. It was already late at night. In a well-decorated single apartment in Hangzhou, Song Yan was leaning on the sofa in her pajamas, exposing her long legs. Lu frowned and looked at the phone from time to time. Seeing that the time was getting later and later, Song Yan finally couldn't bear it anymore. She picked up her mobile phone and sent a few messages to her best friend Tan Lan. Why hasn't he replied to my message? He's not ignoring me on purpose, is he? Tan Lan on the other side was applying a facial mask, raised her eyebrows and replied. Is it because you are too busy? After all, rich people have many things to do. Maybe you are still busy. That shouldn't be the case. Did you miss the news? How about I send him another one? Song Yan bit her lip. Although taking the initiative to contact Pei Jun would seem a bit eager, she really didn't want to give up the big fish in front of her. And Song Yan is still very confident in herself. Judging from the dog-licking messages that Pei Jun has been reluctant to send her over the past few years, Song Yan is sure that she can win over Pei Jun. Maybe I just didn't see it. As long as you take a little more initiative. Thinking about it, Song Yan tapped her fingers and quickly sent 2 messages to Pei Jun. I see you haven't replied to my message. Are you busy? Pay attention to rest. The body is the capital of revolution. You must learn to rest like me. Cover your mouth and laugh. As he said this, he also, casually, took a photo of himself lying on the sofa. Under the furry pajamas were 2 looming long legs. The white and tender skin and the looming cover were very eye-catching. Song Yan bit her lip. I don't believe I can't take you down. It's a pity that she doesn't know that at this time, Mr. Pei is no longer the dog-licking Mr. Pei in his previous life. So when he saw the messages and photos sent by Song Yan, Pei Jun felt very disgusted and replied in disgust. What's wrong with you? Subtext, if nothing happens, get out. In the apartment, Song Yan was looking at the message sent out with some worry. There should be nothing to do no matter how busy you are at this late hour, right? Pei Ju should be able to see the news this time, right? What if he doesn't reply? While Song Yan was looking at her anxiously, her phone dinged. Song Yan's eyes suddenly lit up, and she suddenly sat up from the sofa. Regardless of the scattered spring scenery in the room, she quickly opened WeChat. Seeing only the top column, Pei Jun replied. What's wrong with you? After seeing the news, Song Yan's originally excited face suddenly faltered. That's not right. According to the usual situation, Pei Jun should not reply to her with a lot of messages asking for help, and then praise her and lick her. Why are you so cold today? And this. Why doesn't it feel right to me? In the apartment, Song Yan was video chatting with Tan Lan and said with a frown. After waiting for a day, Pei Jun finally replied to the message, but the reply made Song Yan feel something was wrong. Are you too busy? Maybe he is in a high-end office building right now, drinking coffee and processing piles of documents. I have so many things to do, so it's normal that I can't take care of you. Tan Lan had read a lot of Ba Zong's novels, and at this time, he had already made up a lot of pictures in his mind, and said lazily. Yeah, Song Yan still felt something was wrong in her heart. Sure. Besides, he is now worth at least tens of millions, so it is normal for his attitude to change. The online video about Pei Jun buying a car is still spreading, and many idle netizens even began to estimate how much assets Pei Jun has. This is what Tan Lan saw on the internet. I used to have no money, so I had time to send you messages. I have money now, but I don't have time, so I don't have time to send you a message. So, this is the tragedy of marrying into a rich family. We gain a wealthy life, but we also lose some companionship. You also have to be mentally prepared as soon as possible. By then, I'm afraid he will have so many things to do that he won't be able to stay home at all. After all, the busier he is, the richer he will be. Tan Lan's analysis was clear and logical. Song Yan also felt justified at this time, her cheeks even turned red, and she yelled shyly. Who wants him to accompany you? Then should I continue to reply to him? Absolutely. He is busy, so you have to take the initiative. So when the two of them combined, Song Yan replied to Pei Jun again, several messages in a row. Seeing that it was already early in the morning, Pei Jun was preparing to go to bed, and then he heard messages on his cell phone ringing one after another, and Pei Jun frowned. Who? Pick up the phone and take a look. I saw Song Yan sent him another message. In the dialogue box. What's wrong with you? These were Pei Jun's words. It's nothing. I just see that you are quite busy, so I would like to remind you to pay attention to your health. Are you still busy at this late hour? Peeping. What have you been doing lately? I've been very busy with work recently, so I'm preparing to take a break on Saturday and relax. Well behaved. Pei Jun looked at the messages Song Yan sent one after another with a surprised expression. No, is this woman sick? Who asked her? What he meant was for her to go away and stop bothering him. Can't understand people. Or is there a serious brain disease? Pei Jun looked at the messages that were still being sent one after another in silence. How did he fall in love with such a stupid woman in his previous life? Have you been in love for so many years? When Pei Jun thought of himself in his previous life, he couldn't help but feel that he was also seriously ill. Sure enough, the eyes of a licking dog are beautiful, and the farts of the goddess can be chased 3 miles away. Pei Jun looked at the messages that popped up one after another in disgust, and couldn't bear to reply with one word. Roll. Then block and delete the one-stop service. In an instant, his ears were clear. Pei Jun threw away his phone and went to sleep. On the other side, Song Yan was sending messages with great effort, while her mind was already imagining her date with Pei Jun on Saturday. He should be able to understand such an obvious hint, right? I wonder what he will give me for our date on Saturday. If you're so rich, you shouldn't be sending errands. And his car is really domineering. If he could take a photo and post it, he would definitely make a group of people jealous. But those high-quality spare tires have to be shielded. The more Song Yan thought about it, the more beautiful she became. She couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth, and it happened that Pei Jun's message came back. Song Yan felt excited. If he asked me on a date, should I be more reserved? Song Yan thought about it and clicked on Pei Jun's reply. Roll. The simple and crude word pierced her eyes like a sharp knife. Song Yan's expression instantly became dull and her lips began to tremble violently. Ah! A piercing scream rang out in the apartment late at night. The next day. It's not yet dawn, but Pei Jun has already gotten up. Nowadays, the spiritual energy in the body is becoming more and more abundant, and the necessary sleep time has been shortened a lot. More often, it can be replaced by meditation practice. In the blink of an eye, Pei Jun put on his sportswear and left the community, got into his car and sped towards Tianmu Mountain. He was going to change his training place. When practicing the Infinite Life Sutra yesterday, Pei Jun vaguely noticed that the spiritual energy between heaven and earth seemed to be different. Some places were richer, while others were thinner. For example, spiritual energy in cities is even thinner. The spiritual energy outside the city is even more intense. In particular, the spiritual energy centered on several famous mountains such as Days is even more intense, of which Tianmu Mountain is the most prominent representative. Pei Jun figured it out after thinking about it for a while. Nowadays, the revival of mythology has just begun. It was these famous mountains and swamps that were first revived and born, so the spiritual energy around them is naturally richer. So Mr. Pei plans to change his practice in the future. With the car in hand, Pei Jun quickly arrived at the foot of Tianmu Mountain. In the distance, Tianmu Mountain, with its ridges and green peaks, was shrouded in the clouds and mist that had not dissipated in the early morning. The mountain peaks are majestic and the sea of clouds is rolling. From a distance, it looks like a famous mountain from an immortal family. Tianmu Mountain is named Tianmu because there is a pool on each of the east and west peaks, which is not dry all year round, just like eyes looking up at the sky. But Pei Jun knew that Tianmu Mountain was not its real name. Its real name is the mythical mountain, Fuyu Mountain. It is also the first batch of mythical mountains to be born after the revival of mythology, only later than Kunlun, the ancestor of mountains. There are countless spiritual treasures on the mountain, and there are countless cave heavens and blessed places left over from the mythical era. Legend has it that one of the 34 cave heavens of Taoism is Taiwei Yuan Gai. There is also the mythical ashram left by Skanda Bodhisattva. Contains great opportunities. The floating jade has thousands of layers of beauty, and the spiritual mountain is 10 miles deep. This is how people in previous generations described Fuyu Mountain. It's a pity that Fuyu Mountain has been strictly controlled and blocked by the Buddha and Taoism of Tianmu Mountain since the birth of the myth. Ordinary people cannot climb the mountain to hunt for treasures. In his previous life, he had passed by Fuyu Mountain countless times, but he could only look at it from a distance. Today, Tianmu Mountain has not yet been born, and naturally no one has blocked it. Pei Jun easily entered the mountain. At this time, there were already many people doing morning exercises in the mountain. As soon as Pei Jun entered the mountain, he felt the cool breath coming to his face and the spiritual energy mixed in it. Although the spiritual energy in the mountains at this time is still not as good as in the previous life, it is much richer than in the city. Sure enough, you didn't come to the wrong place. Pei Jun avoided the crowds, chose a deserted mountain path, and quickly climbed up to the top of the mountain. Tianmu Mountain's virgin forest covers a vast area. Along the way, big trees block the road, canyons grow, and waterfalls fly. The natural landscape is magnificent. You can even vaguely hear the roar of wild beasts in the mountains. The spiritual energy in Pei Jun's body circulated throughout his body, and he kept walking without stopping. He had climbed to the top of the mountain in more than half an hour. In order to avoid the crowds, Pei Jun did not choose to climb to the top. Instead, he found a quiet and dangerous cliff deep in the jungle and climbed up it. Next to it is a majestic waterfall, and in front of you are the mountains and green mountains as far as the eye can see. Magnificent and far-reaching, Pei Jun was very satisfied with the training venue he chose. After looking around, he sat cross-legged on the cliff. The red sun sets in the west. Wisps of clouds and smoke enveloped Mr. Pei's body, floating with each inhalation and exhalation of Mr. Pei. This was a strange phenomenon caused by stimulating spiritual energy during the cultivation process. If someone saw Mr. Pei at this time, they might think that an immortal had come to the world. After a while, Pei Jun, who had been practicing all day, slowly opened his eyes. The red sun in his eyes dissipated, and a happy look appeared on Pei Jun's face. Fuyu Mountain is indeed one of the famous mountains where the mythical resurrection was first born. Although it has not yet been revived, the intensity of spiritual energy is far greater than that in the city. The speed of cultivation has become faster. It happened that I had nothing to do these days, and Pei Jun also wanted to get familiar with the Infinite Life Sutra as soon as possible, so he decided to practice on the mountain these days. As for where to live, just at this time, the bells were ringing from the temple on the mountain peak. The bells were melodious and resounded throughout the mountains and fields. Lion Zen Temple. As a famous 1,000-year-old temple in Tianmu Mountain, there are many tourists on weekdays. Tonight, it was getting dark, and tourists in the temple were leaving one after another. Several monks were preparing to close the temple door after cleaning up the fallen leaves. I saw a young man walking from a distance. The young man's steps were light and he looked around as he walked. There was no sign of fatigue from climbing on his face. Several monks took a look and found that the young man was walking straight towards the temple door. From a distance, the monk clasped his hands and said, "Amitabha, donor, this temple is closed. If you want to worship Buddha and ask for incense, you can come back tomorrow." I saw the young man walking straight towards me and saying with a smile, "Master, don't be in a hurry. The next person is destined to be the next one." After Pei Jun used 880,000 yuan incense money to prove that he was a yuan person, the temple door that was about to be closed slowly opened. 1,000-year-old temple, the leader of Buddhism in Tianmu Mountain, and the Lion Zong Zen Temple. Mr. Pei had admired his name for a long time in his previous life, but due to his lack of strength and status in his previous life, he was never qualified to ascend. He only saw the fame of some famous monks in the battle between humans and monsters. Unexpectedly, one day, I would come in person and even be treated as a distinguished guest. Pei Jun walked on the quiet path of the 1,000-year-old temple and sighed in his heart. The monks he met occasionally in this temple may be masters who will become famous in the future. Donor, here we are. The dormitory is a bit crude, I hope the donor will take care of it. The abbot leading the way stopped in front of a simple house, clasped his hands and said to Pei Jun. Fine. Pei Jun glanced briefly. It was a single room with a single bed and a few wooden tables and chairs. It was okay. Donor, please rest early. The abbot was about to turn around and leave. Pei Jun stopped the abbot, thought for a moment and said. I once heard that your temple has an ancient book that has been passed down for thousands of years, the Diamond Sutra. I wonder if I can borrow it for a look. The abbot said in surprise. Where did the donor hear this? An elder in my family worships Buddha. He visited your temple in his early years and heard about it at that time. I see. The abbot nodded and explained. Because this ancient book was damaged in a fire a few years ago, the temple sealed it up. So in recent years, fewer people know the news. Since the benefactor is destined, I will lend the ancient book to the benefactor tomorrow for review. However, the ancient book is damaged, so I am afraid there will be no benefit. The abbot said apologetically. Pei Jun quickly waved his hand. Nothing, please take charge. When the abbot left, a flash of joy flashed in Pei Jun's eyes. Unexpectedly, just a casual question turned out to be fruitful. This was something that suddenly occurred to him on the way here. In the previous life, Shishi Zhengzong Zen Temple was famous for its Vajra indestructible magic and Vajra Dharma. It is said that these two magical powers originated from an ancient book in Shishi Zhengzong Zen Temple. Diamond Sutra. It is said that this ancient book was written by no one, but it has been passed down in the temple for thousands of years. On weekdays, everyone in the temple just kept it as an ancient book. It was not until the myth revived and the energy of heaven and earth returned that the Diamond Sutra revealed its true form. Two of the magical powers have also become the temple-preserving magical powers of the Lion Zhengzong Zen Temple. This is why Mr. Pei is willing to be so generous as a destined person. If he were in his previous life, he might not have been able to observe these two magical powers even with 80 million incense money. But now it only cost 880,000. It can be said that blood is earned. On the second day, Pei Jun, who returned from practice, saw the Diamond Sutra as he wished. This is a very dilapidated ancient book, and every yellowed page is covered with traces of history and blackened burn marks. Dilapidated. No one would have thought that this ancient book that was too damaged to be read actually contained two peerless magical powers. If Junpei hadn't been reincarnated and returned, he might not have believed it if the ancient books were thrown in front of him. Even the monks of Shishizhengzong Temple just sealed it up as a relatively ancient antique cultural relic and did not realize its importance at all. The myths are cut off and the mythical objects disappear. Pei Jun gently touched the broken ancient book in front of him and thought of this sentence passed down in his previous life. This world itself retains many magical weapons and spiritual treasures, but due to the cessation of mythology, many divine objects have been hidden between heaven and earth, and no one knows about them. For example, the Diamond Sutra in front of him, the sunset hanging drum visualization picture he obtained a few days ago, and the Sanqing bell he has been looking for. These treasures have been hidden from the world, and no one knows about them. It was not until the revival of mythology that they came to life one after another. As for the origin of these treasures, it has long been impossible to study. Perhaps when he becomes stronger in the future, he can explore more. Pei Jun shook his head and focused his gaze on the Diamond Sutra in front of him. He directly activated a ray of spiritual energy and slowly integrated it into the Diamond Sutra. A ray of spiritual energy was completely absorbed, and a circle of golden light slowly appeared on the originally damaged Diamond Sutra. As the spiritual energy continued to activate, the dilapidated Diamond Sutra became increasingly brighter, and two pages glowing with golden light were slowly turned. The simple and mysterious words flowed on the page, and then suddenly rushed towards Pei Jun. Pei Jun was startled and closed his eyes subconsciously, but the flowing golden text did not stop at all and rushed directly into Pei Jun's mind. Suddenly, the sound of Buddha in Pei Jun's mind was magnificent, as if he was in a magnificent Buddhist kingdom. The Infinite Life Sutra in Pei Jun's body also began to operate automatically. If anyone sees Mr. Pei at this time, he will find that his whole body is shrouded in Buddhist light, and a faint golden light appears on his skin. There is a majestic and tall Dharma image in the air behind him, looking down at the world. After a long time, after absorbing the content in his mind, Pei Jun slowly opened his eyes. All the strange phenomena around him dissipated. Pei Jun looked surprised. He had indeed obtained two magical powers just now, the Vajra indestructible magic and the Vajra Dharma. The former is one of the best defensive magical powers in the world, and once mastered, it is indestructible. The latter is a supernatural attack power that can be opened and closed, and it is extremely powerful after being practiced. Recalling the magical powers he now mastered, Pei Jun couldn't help shaking his head and laughing. It seems that I really have a predestined relationship with Buddha. The Diamond Sutra was instantly restored to its original state as Pei Jun removed the spiritual energy. Pei Jun handed it back to the abbot the next day. Then continue practicing. It's just that now the content of cultivation has been increased by 2 items. A few days later, there was a cliff in the dense forest of Tianmu Mountain. The waterfall roars. The mighty water, as fast as a dragon, suddenly swooped down from the cliff, carrying a huge force and slamming into the pool below, splashing water several meters high. What is shocking is that in the pool, there is a figure standing firmly where the rapid waterfall dives. And he withstood the fierce plunge of the waterfall. Water splashed, golden light flowed around the figure, and golden woven lines were faintly visible on the entire skin. The figure under the waterfall is Pei Jun. Because the magical power of Vajra indestructibility requires the help of external forces to practice, and the stronger the external force, the better the effect of practice, so Pei Jun changed his practice method the day after he obtained the magical power. A jaw-dropping approach. Waterfall temper. In layman's terms, it means carrying the waterfall hard. When he first started exercising, Pei Jun couldn't stand firm at all. He was instantly knocked out by the waterfall, and even his whole body felt like he had been hit by a car accident. Fortunately, the spiritual energy in his body has now accumulated enough, and he has gradually recovered from his injuries. It was already the 3rd day, and Pei Jun finally found some skills to stand firmly under the waterfall. Of course, it only lasts a few minutes at most. Then you need to use Ling Qi to recover the hidden injuries in the body, and then continue to exercise after a period of rest. Fortunately, his strength has improved significantly, and he has suffered so much in vain. Pei Jun rested on the shore for a while, and saw that the hidden injuries in his body were almost recovered, and then he plunged into the pool again. At this moment, deep in the dense forest of Tianmu Mountain, 4 or 5 fashionably dressed men and women were staggering towards the waterfall. One of the hot-looking beauties held her knees up and gasped. "How far is it? I can't walk anymore." A boy carrying a bunch of equipment next to him said. "It's right in front. Didn't you hear the sound of the waterfall?" Another petite and cute girl frowned and asked, "Is this place okay?" The boy leading the way nodded and said, "Definitely. This is a place I found after asking locals for a long time at the foot of the mountain. It is said that the waterfall here is the most spectacular waterfall in the entire Tianmu Mountain." The boy thought for a moment and added, "Shocking. I hope this video can gain a few more fans, so that all my hard work will be worthwhile." The hot beauty who spoke first sighed. The popularity of cross-dressing in waterfalls is rising rapidly, and we can definitely catch this wave of traffic. A few people chatted and walked around, and soon approached the location of the waterfall. The faint sound of the waterfall before was now clearly audible, like the roar of thunder, deeply shaking the minds of several people. "What a loud sound." The petite girl's eyes widened and she said while covering her chest. The hot beauty shouted, "What did you say?" I said, "What a loud noise." The petite beauty put her hands to her mouth and shouted loudly as she used her strength to suck. "Quick, open the camera and take more aerial shots." The other 2 boys also got busy. After debugging the equipment, they continued to move forward. When the last lush leaves that were blocking the way were pushed aside, the shocking waterfall appeared in front of their eyes. The steps of several people suddenly stopped, their expressions full of shock. The thunder seemed to be echoing in the ears. On the high and precipitous cliff, a mighty Bai Lian swooped down with the power of thunder and hit the pool hard. Water splashes everywhere. The white waves soaring into the sky stirred the hearts of several people. The hot beauty came to her senses and couldn't help but say something dirty. "How spectacular. The petite beauty's beautiful eyes widened and she said with a shocked expression. The other two boys finally came to their senses and quickly set up their equipment and started filming the shocking scene in front of them. We can publish 2 videos, one in cross-dressing and one in waterfall. The video will definitely explode. It's so beautiful and shocking. Several people swept away their depression from climbing the mountain before and said with excitement. Let's take a video of you before you cross-dress first, and then you two will change your costumes. Old son, find a safer place. The boy at the front was taking pictures of empty footage and arranging the arrangements. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly burst out with a Chinese quintessence sentence. What's wrong? A few people behind asked in confusion. The boy at the front did not respond to the people behind him. Instead, he moved the camera in front of him and squinted at the center of the pool. He even rubbed his eyes. Then he pointed to the center of the pool with a stuttering and shocked tone and said. You, look, is there someone there? Where? Don't be scary. Several people behind him frowned. In the middle of the pool, under the waterfall. The boy I met the most pointed at the center of the pool, looking as if he had seen a ghost. Stop joking, who can stand under this waterfall? There's really someone. The hot girl behind him exclaimed. Where is it? The petite girl squeezed forward. Soon, everyone saw the figure standing under the waterfall, and they all fell into shock and silence. Is this a living person? Really? After a long while, several people finally spoke. As soon as he finished speaking, I saw the figure in the center of the pool move, and then swam ashore. Several people looked at each other. Is this a martial arts master? Did we meet the hidden master in the novel? That's awesome. Several people looked at the waterfall swooping down from high in the sky with a huge force, and then looked at the flying waves rising into the sky from the pool. I just felt a little dizzy and trembling all over even standing far away. If you were standing at the bottom, looking at the stone pit and pool carved out by the waterfall, several people shuddered. Don't dare to think, don't dare to think. The practice of Vajra indestructibility is too damaging to the physical body. Now that Pei Jun is not strong enough, he does not dare to practice for too long. He stopped after he was almost done. Ashore. Picking up the clothes from the shore, Pei Jun climbed towards the top of the cliff. He has been like this these past few days. With the blessing of Ling Qi, the extremely dangerous cliffs are as smooth as walking on the ground under his feet. Pei Jun had climbed to the top of the cliff while moving around. At the bottom of the cliff, only a few pairs of eyes were left that were completely dull and shocked. The hot beauty swallowed her saliva, pointed at the towering cliff in front of her, and said with a trembling tone. He climbed up. I'm in a big trough. Now only the quintessence of the Chinese nation can intuitively show their mood at this time. We really met an expert. The boy at the front took a deep breath. Did you take the photo? Suddenly, the petite girl pointed at the camera that was always on in the boy's hand and said. Quote exclamation mark quote. I only took pictures of the center of the pool. The boy at the front suddenly slapped his head and said regretfully. You. The petite girl stamped her feet, hating that iron could not turn into steel. If you don't take a picture of such an exciting scene, what's the point of it? These are all traffic topics. Ah. The boy at the beginning also covered his face and wailed, regretting that he missed it. That, I took it. The boy beside him who had been silent all this time gestured to the camera in his hand and said. Saturday, early morning. Pei Jun was sitting high on the cliff, with a vague and majestic golden dharma hanging behind him. His mouth grew white like a dragon, and Pei Jun slowly stopped his power. The golden dharma behind him gradually dissipated, and he opened his eyes. The red sun rotates. After these few days of practice, we are not far away from foundation building. Moreover, the Vajra indestructible magic technique and Vajra Dharma appearance acquired a few days ago have also been officially introduced under Pei Jun's life-threatening cultivation methods. Now I finally have the strength to protect myself. Pei Jun stood up and stretched his muscles, then jumped off the cliff, dived into the pool along the mighty waterfall, and then swam ashore. Ling Qi evaporated the water on his body, and Pei Jun leapt directly down the mountain forest, startling many birds and beasts along the way. The accelerator roared, and the big G, which had not been started for a long time, quickly left Tianmu Mountain. Ghost Market. That is, the Hangzhou Collectibles Market. It opened early on Saturday morning, and both buyers and sellers have been waiting for a long time. Zhang Wan, who was dressed elegantly and pretty, was standing at the door of the market, looking left and right, holding a pink strawberry bear bag. By chance, a mighty beast slowly stopped at the entrance of the market. The people wandering around all let out slight exclamations and backed away slightly from the approaching beast. Zhang Wan frowned slightly and took 2 steps back. I saw a young and sturdy figure stepping out of the car. Zhang Wan's frown instantly relaxed, a smile appeared on her face, and then she walked forward lightly. Hello. As soon as Pei Jun got out of the car, he heard a clear shout from behind him. Turning around, I saw the female college student from that day. The girl seemed to have dressed up a bit, and her appearance was much prettier than that day. Morning. Pei Jun responded with a smile. Zhang Wan pointed behind him. This is the ghost market. Pei Jun looked along and saw the prosperous and dense market in front of him. He was slightly shocked. In his previous life, he had never heard of such a place in Hangzhou. Hope you can gain something today. Thinking in his mind, Pei Jun asked someone to park the car and followed Zhang Wan into the market. Still the same as before. Zhang Wan tilted her head and asked. Yes, Sanqingling, the boss's surname is Wu. The two had a tacit understanding and began to search stall after stall just like the previous days. Although it is just a market, the entire market has more stalls of various sizes than the shops in the antique city. It took the two of them half a day to search roughly half of it. Drink some water first. After taking a rest, the two continued to search, but they never found the target. There are quite a few stalls selling Sanqing bells, but there are very few bosses with the surname Wu. After finally encountering a few, Pei Jun finally found none. Seeing that time was running out and many stalls in the market were beginning to close, Pei Jun sighed inwardly. Could it be that he really had no chance to meet Sanqingling? There are a few stalls ahead, let's look for them. The girl beside him did not give up and led Pei Jun forward. The stall in front belonged to the stall at the end and corner of the entire market. There weren't many people. There are not many things on the stalls, and they all look shabby. The better ones are all modern handicrafts. Several stall owners were also playing cards in 2s and 3s. Obviously there are no good things in this kind of stall. Pei Jun gave up a little when he saw this. He only heard the girl in front of him say, "There is a Sanqing bell here. Can you take a look?" Pei Jun walked forward and saw the girl picking up a tattered Sanqing bell in her hand. This Sanqing bell was full of copper odor, and even a piece of the ring was missing. Compared with the Sanqing bells I had seen before, it looked even more shabby. If it weren't for the purpose of making it old-fashioned, it would look like a fetish. Pei Jun raised his eyebrows slightly and took the Sanqing bell handed over by the girl. The copper bell was cold in the hand, and the spiritual energy in Pei Jun's body was flowing, and a trace of spiritual energy merged into the copper bell. Ding! The copper bell suddenly moved automatically without wind. The red sun was spinning in Pei Jun's eyes, and the energy in his body instantly surged into his hands. As the bell rang, the whole world seemed to have stopped at this moment. The stall owner who had just been playing cards still kept flipping the cards, and even the flies flying in the air were hovering in the air. Hiss! Pei Jun looked shocked, took a breath, and quickly disconnected from Sanqingling. The world returns to normal. The stall owner dropped the cards in his hand. 2 2s, do you want it? The flies in the air continued to buzz away into the distance. Pei Jun looked at the still tattered Sanqing bell in his hand with surprise. That's it. Found it. Pei Jun was excited when he heard the girl in front of him tilt her head and say in confusion. Did a bell just ring? Maybe it was shaken accidentally. Pei Jun shook the Sanqing bell in his hand. The rotten bell made a muffled sound and scattered a pile of copper stench. Is it this one? The girl asked curiously. Pei Jun pretended to observe for a while and said seriously. It's like what the elders said. No matter, buy it back first and show it to him. If it's not right, forget it. With that said, Pei Jun shouted. Boss! Hey, Wang Za, here he comes. The stall owner who was still playing cards in the distance hurried over. When Pei Jun saw the appearance of the stall owner, he asked in surprise. What's your last name, boss? My surname is Wu. The stall owner rubbed his hands and said eagerly, "Are you too interested?" Looking at the vulgar stall owner Wu in front of him, who was wearing personal flip-flops and a sly look, Pei Jun had a strange look on his face. Is this the famous Longhushan Wu Zhenren in later generations? Taoist leader. This appearance is really hard to describe. Pei Jun suddenly felt filled with emotion. With his status in his previous life, he was not qualified to see a Taoist real person. This was a high-ranking figure who was comparable to an immortal. So I don't know what Wu Zhenren looks like. Putting back the emotion in his heart, Pei Jun asked with an unchanged expression. What's the price of this Sanqing bell? Hey, you said this Sanqing bell, this price. As he spoke, the stall owner stretched out a finger. This is. Pei Jun raised his eyebrows, thinking in his mind that he would accept the higher price. After all, this is the famous Sanqing bell from the previous life, a Taoist treasure. And it still robbed others of opportunities. Just as he was thinking about it, stall owner Wu shouted loudly. 1,000. One price, take it if you want it. This is the Sanqing bell that was passed down from the Qin dynasty. I received it from a Taoist master back then, and it cost me. Stall owner Wu was still making up the story of Sanqingling, but Pei Jun interrupted him in surprise. How many? 8,000. Stallkeeper Wu looked at Pei Jun's face and turned a corner. 880 minimum. Stall owner Wu quickly added, looking at Pei Jun nervously. Payment code. Pei Jun said calmly. Hey, that's good, I'm so cool. After saying that, stall owner Wu immediately took out the QR code hanging around his neck and said with a lewd smile. Looking at the Wu stall owner in front of him, Pei Jun became more and more unable to look directly at the real and powerful person in future generations. The payment arrived quickly, and the stall owner Wu who received the payment had a smile on his face and looked even more vulgar. Brother, don't you look at the others. Look at these talismans and these, they are all collected together with the Sanqing bell. They are all good things. After Pei Jun collected his things and was about to leave, he paused when he heard this. Pei Jun looked down at the other things on the stall, and then followed the stall owner's fingers to see several broken talismans and some messy antiques. The stall owner's words made him interested. He leaned over and looked through the remaining items and tried them all with Ling Qi. A bunch of messy things, Ling Qi didn't react at all. Pei Jun was not disappointed at all. The probability of the appearance of a divine weapon in spirit treasure was already low, and he did not expect to encounter it again. Just as he was thinking about it, he picked up the last few broken talismans. These talismans were very broken, stained with all kinds of messy stains, and the cinnabar on the talismans had also faded away. Pei Jun casually gathered a stream of spiritual energy. I have no expectations in my heart, I just give it a try. But he didn't expect that the spiritual energy in his hand was instantly absorbed by the talisman, and even the spiritual energy in his body was pulled and moved. Only a faint purple light appeared on the broken talisman. Suddenly there was a faint thunder from the sky. Is it going to rain? The stall owners around them raised their heads and frowned. It's still a sunny day, why is it so sunny and thunderous? Everyone looked at the sky in confusion. Only Pei Jun looked at the talisman in his hand in shock. The moment it was absorbed into the spiritual energy, a piece of information on the talisman was fed back to Pei Jun's mind. 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Talisman. These talismans turned out to be real Taoist secret treasures. As long as the user activates the talisman, the 9 Heavens Divine Thunder can be triggered. The thunder in the sky just now was caused by the talisman. Pei Jun looked at the several talismans in his hand with a look of shock and surprise. In his previous life, Mr. Pei had also heard about the power of talismans, but due to the interruption of inheritance, there were very few people who could draw talismans in his previous life. Most of the talismans circulating in the world were handed down from the cave heaven paradise. Expensive. And it's priceless. Because the talisman is easy to use, as long as you have Ling Qi, you can use it without any requirements. And the power of the talismans is amazing. Just like these 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Talisman in Pei Jun's hand, if used properly, it can be used as a big killer weapon. Pei Junjung is worried that his current strength is insufficient and his methods are not rich enough. Now that he has these talismans, he feels more confident. So he asked calmly, "These talismans look good, what's the price?" Stall owner Wu quickly put on a smile. If you like it, brother, how about 500 yuan? Scan code. Pei Jun didn't bargain at all and just scanned the QR code, which even made stall owner Wu feel a lot of regret and shouted low. Can I ask where these things come from? Pei Jun paid the money and asked curiously. A small shabby shop actually had two kinds of magic weapons and secret treasures. Pei Jun couldn't help but be curious and even made some guesses. This. Stall owner Wu hesitated. Pei Jun understood. Add your contact information. If you have something similar in the future, please contact me directly. The price will not be lower. Okay, it just so happens that I still have some stuff, so I can give it to my little brother another day. Stall owner Wu smiled happily, quickly added Pei Jun's WeChat account and phone number, chatted for a few more words, and finally sent Pei Jun off enthusiastically. Pei Jun looked very happy after finding something, and even invited the girl who helped him to have lunch. Thank you for your hard work this morning. I'll forward the fee to your WeChat. Pei Jun smiled. It's okay, it's easy. I like these things more, and I still get paid. Zhang Wan smiled sweetly. Do you need me to take you back? No need, the school is not far. You helped me a lot this time. If anything happens later, you can call me for help. The two walked out of the hotel laughing and joking. Before parting, Pei Jun asked casually. Don't know what your name is yet. Zhang Wan. Wanfaz Wan. Zhang Wan said in a clear voice, waved towards Pei Jun and walked away. Pei Jun watched Zhang Wan's leaving figure and murmured in confusion. Zhang Wan. Zhang Wan. Pei Jun felt that this name was a bit familiar. Suddenly thinking of something, Pei Jun took a breath of air and said with a surprised look. Hiss, it can't be Zhang Wan, the sword immortal from the previous life, right? Pei Jun looked at the girl who was walking away in shock. But this character doesn't suit it. Then, Pei Jun frowned again. It is said that the sword fairy Zhang Wan in her previous life was a cold-blooded and ruthless woman who hated evil as much as she wanted to. She only saw the way of swordsmanship in her eyes. There doesn't seem to be any emotions. So in addition to the name of Sword Fairy, she also has another title, Ice Beauty. But, thinking back on the interactions with Zhang Wan these past few days, he was warm, gentle, and kind-hearted, not like the rumored personality. It can even be said to be the complete opposite. They should have the same name, right? Pei Jun finally shook his head and drove out of the hotel. And on the morning when Pei Jun was looking for Sanqingling, a video related to him on the internet became a hot search again. It turned out that the team that went to Tianmu Mountain Waterfall to shoot the video yesterday worked hard all night after returning home in the evening, and finally edited 2 videos in the early morning. One is Waterfall Drag. One is Pei Jun's video. After the team discussed it, they first posted a video of the waterfall costume. Nowadays, the popularity of waterfall cross-dressing videos is rising rapidly. As soon as the video is updated, the number of views increases rapidly. The cross-dressing beauties and the shocking waterfall are full of visual impact, so the likes and traffic continue to increase. In just one morning, it has exceeded 1 million likes. When the popularity reached its peak, yesterday's hot beauty started a live broadcast and said, "The video in the morning is just a warm-up. I will post another video soon that will shock your jaws. Be mentally prepared." Countless fans poured into the live broadcast room and commented after hearing the anchor's words. Ready. It's not that beauties don't look at it. What video can shock my jaw? As the anchor from the UC department. Sister, look at those long legs, stick on them. Jade. Fans were making comments, and the hot beauty continued. I wonder if you all believe that martial arts exist in this world. Whether you believe it or not, I believe it anyway. Go to the latest updated video on the homepage. Fans were stunned when they heard this. If you're not a good-looking anchor, why are you still talking about metaphysics? As he said that, everyone clicked on the latest video updated on the homepage, and the beginning of the video read. Be prepared for your jaw to drop. Mysterious. Many people made complaints. The video begins. Quiet dense forests, deafening sounds, and mighty waterfalls, scenes from that day came one after another as the video unfolded. What a stunning waterfall. Yes, I can feel the impact of the waterfall just listening to the sound. So the content of this video won't be about watching waterfalls, right? What's so interesting about the waterfall? Slipped away. I'm here to see the beauties, not the attractions. As soon as the video started, many uninterested fans left the video, leaving only some fans who continued to watch. The video continued to play, and the scene of the waterfall soon appeared. Many fans looked at the waterfall in shock, and then heard an exclamation from the video. "Look there, is there anyone there?" This exclamation was the original sound of the day. Several people discussed it and felt that the effect was pretty good, so they stayed. Then as the video exclaimed, an arrow appeared in the video, pointing to the center of the pool. This is where the waterfall dives. What? Isn't he a dead person? Fans started talking and were attracted by the exclamations. The lens is stretched, the video picture is also continuously enlarged, and the position pointed by the arrow becomes clearer. Then fans who were watching the video saw a person standing in the middle of the pool, where the waterfall plunged. People, what does it mean? Is this a real dummy? I saw that the swooping of the waterfall could not shake the figure at all. Next is the scene that several members of the team saw that day. In everyone's shocked eyes, the figure in the center of the pool moved and walked onto the shore. Then he climbed up the dangerous cliff above the waterfall with a vigorous posture. Fans' eyes widened as they watched the figure in the video perform a series of actions, just like those of the internet celebrity team that day. Shock. Question. Incredible. I'm in a big trough. Is this a kung fu movie? Is this fake, special effects? With the shocked comments from fans, the popularity of the just-released video has also begun to rise, and many fans have even forwarded it to their friends. In just a few moments, the video sparked heated discussions across the internet, and also triggered several related hot topics, such as: is there really a hidden master in this world? Because Pei Jun was always in the pool, far away from him, no one could see his face clearly. Just give him the identity of an invisible master. There are also many people in the martial arts community who have come out to get certified, which has triggered a series of crazes for learning martial arts. Of course, some people have always maintained a skeptical attitude. But no matter what, this video became popular all over the internet and shocked countless people. By the time Pei Jun saw this video, it was already evening. After returning to Tianmu Mountain in the afternoon, he began to study the Sanqing Bell and the Nine Heavens Divine Thunder Talisman in his hand. Then just immerse yourself in practice and continue practicing. When I returned to the temple in the evening, I saw this video while flipping through the news. The first thing Pei Jun saw was not the original video, but the news released by the news public account. The title read, "The hidden master appears in the world, climbing the cliff is like walking on flat ground." When he saw the title, Pei Jun was surprised. Could it be that the revival of Shinhwa has accelerated and someone already has extraordinary strength? Then watch the video. Good guy, it turns out to be himself, so that's okay. However, this incident also reminded Pei Jun that after being in peace for a long time, he actually relaxed his vigilance and did not notice anyone being filmed that day. Fortunately, I didn't take a picture of the full face. Then Pei Jun looked through the relevant news again. When he saw the craze about martial arts on the internet, his expression suddenly lit up. How could he have forgotten this? Martial arts. With the beginning of the revival of myths in the past life, the martial arts that was about to disappear in history has regained new vitality. In conjunction with spiritual energy training, many martial arts masters in previous lives have embarked on the path of physical sanctification, and martial arts training has become an important part of the Chinese cultivation system. Pei Jun had also been exposed to martial arts in his previous life, but because he had no true teachings, he had always been wandering on the edge. He was very envious of the strength of martial arts. Now, there's a chance. Pei Jun's eyes sparkled. The next day, there was an old shantytown area in the western suburbs of Hangzhou. Pei Jun found this location after thinking about the memories of his previous life, and frowned slightly as he looked at the old and dilapidated shed in front of him. He never imagined that Mr. Lin, one of the best martial arts masters in his previous life, would be living in such a poor state now. Hello, let me ask, is there an old man named Lin here? There are so many old people named Lin. What are they called? It seems to be called Lin Ruai. I don't know. Hello, do you have an old man named Lin Ruai here? Never heard of that. Pei Jun just walked forward and asked. After countless inquiries, Pei Jun's inquiry finally yielded results. You mean old man Lin? He lives 2 rows behind. There are a lot of bamboos planted at the door. You can find them if you go there. Pei Jun's eyes lit up. After thanking him, he quickly walked towards the 2 rows behind and found his target at a glance. Pei Jun walked forward quickly. As soon as I arrived at the door that happened to be closed at this time was pushed open, and 2 arguments came from it. Go back. An old and angry voice sounded. I don't want to go back. A young but extremely stubborn female voice. Then Pei Jun saw an old man with silver hair pulling a thin girl with twin tails out of the door. Go back to school now. The silver-haired Mr. Lin looked angry. Not to be outdone, the girl stared and shouted. I'm not going back. And I've been fired and can't go back. You make me so angry. Mr. Lin clutched his chest. Pei Jun was a little embarrassed, but he still said hello. Only then did the 2 people who were pulling together see Mr. Pei standing outside the door. Mr. Lin glanced at Mr. Pei up and down, his eyes revealing sharp scrutiny. The girl with twin tails looked curious. Are you Mr. Lin Ruai? I have something to see you for. Pei Jun said politely. No time. Mr. Lin waved his hand directly, pulled the girl with twin tails and walked away. Go back to school. I won't go back. The arguments continued. Pei Jun glanced at the open door and the grandfather and grandson walking further and further away, and sighed helplessly. He has confirmed that the old man just now is the future martial arts master, Lin Ruai. Pei Jun once saw Lin Ruai's video. And Pei Jun thought of the girl with twin tails that Mr. Lin pulled just now. If he read correctly, this should be Mr. Lin's granddaughter, Lin Nuo. This is the period of resurgence of myths from the past life. One of the leading figures in martial arts of the younger generation is often active in the public eye. And it is also deeply loved by the public. Pei Jun often heard Lin Nuo's name in his previous life. To be more precise, he often heard Lin Nuo's alias, Lin Daiyu. Thin and delicate. Explosive force value. When these 2 completely undesirable words are combined together, coupled with Lin Nuo's surname, people always think of a joke. Lin Daiyu Fengshe Mountain Temple. Therefore, during the revival of the myth of the previous life, many people preferred to call Lin Nuo Lin Daiyu. Pei Jun thought of the appearance of the girl he just saw, with twin ponytails, thin figure, and frail appearance. Don't tell me, she really feels like Lin Daiyu. Watching the 2 people walking away, Pei Jun thought for a moment and asked nearby residents to find out the situation. Soon, Pei Jun understood the cause of the matter. It turned out that Lin Nuo injured several male classmates at school and was expelled from the school. The corners of Pei Jun's mouth twitched. He was indeed a martial arts leader of the younger generation in his previous life. Has his martial arts value exploded like this now? After understanding the cause of the matter, Pei Jun thought for a moment, got in the car and chased Lin Nuo's school. When Pei Jun followed the neighbor's guidance and arrived at Lin Nuo's school, 2 people, an old man and a young boy, were squatting outside the school door. Mr. Lin was dejected and kept sighing. Lin Nuo looked indifferent and watched the vehicles approaching on the street with great interest. The modified Big G suddenly stopped in front of the 2 of them. Lin Nuo, who was looking left and right, was startled and jumped back 2 steps, his twin ponytails swaying in the air twice. Mr. Lin stood up with wary eyes. A figure stepped down from the car. It was the young man I saw outside my home before. Mr. Lin recognized the person, his eyes were still wary, while Lin Nuo swung his twin ponytails and looked at Mr. Pei curiously. Mr. Lin, I'm Mr. Pei. I have something to ask you. Mr. Pei still said the same words, and Mr. Lin refused as before. I told you, I'm not free. Pei Jun didn't care and said directly to the point according to the wording he had thought of when he came. Don't refuse in a hurry. I can help you solve your granddaughter's schooling problem. Everyone has a weakness, and obviously Mr. Lin's weakness is his granddaughter Lin Nuo. Pei Jun was determined. Do you think you have time to chat? When it came to the issue of his granddaughter's schooling, Mr. Lin did not refuse again, but fell into deep thought. Pei Jun continued to strike while the iron was hot and said, I have nothing else to ask for. I just want to learn a thing or 2 from you. Mr. Lin raised his eyebrows. What do you want to learn from an old man like me? Learn martial arts. Pei Jun responded in a deep voice. A moment later, after Pei Jun's sincere conversation and his promise to help his granddaughter solve her schooling problem, Mr. Lin, who had been thinking for a long time, finally nodded slowly. Seeing that the matter was finalized, Pei Jun finally breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile on his face, "Let's go to school to solve Lin Nuo's matter." Mr. Lin raised his eyebrows and said, "How to deal with it? Are you related?" Pei Jun smiled and shook his head. "I'm fine." Mr. Lin frowned. At first, he saw that Pei Jun had vowed to solve Lin Nuo's schooling problem. He was also very clear about his situation, and he drove a luxury car. Mr. Lin subconsciously thought that Pei Jun was a disciple of a local high-ranking official and had deep connections. But when he heard Mr. Pei say it didn't matter, Mr. Lin frowned and looked at Mr. Pei with an unkind expression. "Are you kidding me, an old man?" Pei Jun quickly waved his hand. "How could it be possible? Although I don't have anything to do with it, but I have money." Pei Jun grinned. After saying that, he walked towards the school first. Mr. Lin paused for a moment, then pulled Lin Nuo behind him and followed him doubtfully. As soon as they reached the school gate, the three of them were stopped by the security guard. The security guard, who was about the same age as Mr. Lin, frowned and said, "Old man Lin, didn't I tell you that the principal won't see you?" Pei Jun said from the side, "Hello, I am the chairman of the Pei Group. I have something to ask your principal." Seeing that Mr. Pei clearly came with Mr. Lin, the security guard looked at Mr. Pei carefully and asked in a bad tone, "What's up?" "Donate a building," Pei Jun said calmly. The security guard was stunned for a moment, thinking he heard wrongly, and asked in surprise, "What did you say?" "I said, I want to donate a building to the school. School is a place where the flowers of the motherland are cultivated. I want to contribute to the education of the motherland." Pei Jun smiled brightly and said seriously. Hearing this, the three people around him were all stunned, and the security guard repeated in disbelief, "You said you want to donate a building to the school." "That's right." Pei Jun nodded lightly. "Then wait." The security guard looked at Pei Jun carefully again, quickly ran into the security booth, and then called the principal's internal phone. Outside the security booth, Mr. Lin's expression also changed. He was obviously shocked by what Pei Jun said right away. He never expected that the way Pei Jun said was to donate a building. He quickly spoke up to stop Pei Jun. "No, this is too." Pei Jun waved his hand and interrupted Mr. Lin. "As promised, you don't have to worry about it, just leave it all to me." I heard a noisy argument coming from the security booth, and then I saw a fat middle-aged man running from the school in the distance. The middle-aged man turned off the phone and ran, shouting, "Who is Mr. Pei?" Half a day later, the principal's office. "Is it okay to let Xiao Nuo go back to school tomorrow?" Pei Jun sat casually on the sofa, looked at the principal in front of him, and said lightly. The principal, who was pouring tea in front of him, quickly smiled and said, "No problem, no problem. See which class you like and I'll arrange it right away." Seeing that everything was finalized, Pei Jun didn't hesitate and directly transferred 1 million to the principal's private account at the price just agreed upon. As long as things are done, it doesn't matter whether the money is used to build a building or do something else. After receiving the transfer reminder, the fat principal's smile became even brighter. He quickly pulled Lin Nuo to greet him for a long time, and he was almost ready to surrender. Then the three people walked out of the school with the principal's eager look. "Mr. Pei is welcome to visit at any time." As soon as he walked out of the school gate, Mr. Lin sighed heavily and said with a troubled expression, "Is it too much?" Pei Jun looked calm and didn't care, and waved his hand casually. "Just think of it as an apprenticeship ceremony for you." Mr. Pei really didn't take it to heart. Let's not say that he is not short of this million now. How about waiting for the revival of Xinhua in his previous life and then wanted to worship Mr. Lin as his teacher? Not to mention 1 million, 10 million is impossible. Now it can be done for only 1 million, and Pei Jun has already made a fortune. And if this million can win the hearts of Mr. Lin and Lin Nuo, Mr. Pei will be able to wake up from his dreams at night with a smile. But Mr. Lin didn't know what Pei Jun was thinking at all. His expression was extremely heavy. He only thought about how to make up for Pei Jun's loss. How could he repay such a heavy favor? In this way, the three people with their own thoughts returned to Mr. Lin's home. Pei Jun opened the car door, and the little girl with twin tails jumped out, and then ran into the house without looking back. Pei Jun touched his nose, wondering if it was an illusion. He always felt that since Lin Nuo's schooling problem was solved, this little girl looked at him in a very disgusting way. Shaking his head, Pei Jun followed Mr. Lin into the house. The martial arts I teach is the Liuhe Xinyi Fist of the Liu family in the Demon City, also known as the 10 Great Forms. Based on the characteristics of 10 animals including dragon, tiger, monkey, horse, rooster, swallow, harrier, snake, bear, and eagle, the pictograms are used to take the meaning, and the legislation is used as a fist. The dragon has the skill of searching for bones, the tiger has the courage to fight, the chicken has the skill of catching, the monkey has the spirit of leaping, the eagle has the skill of catching, the bear has the spirit of fighting, the snake has the skill of pulling weeds, and the swallow has the ability to fetch water. Nang, the harrier has the power of side wings, and the horse has the power of running, and they are contained in the human body, thus achieving the overall effect of unity of nature and man. Let's start with the chicken walk. Mr. Lin, who had been thinking about how to repay Junpei all the way home, immediately took Junpei to talk about the subtleties of boxing techniques and martial arts training methods. Pei Jun naturally followed the good advice and immediately entered a learning state. For several days in a row, Pei Jun lived a simple life, spending half a day practicing Qi in Tianmu Mountain and half a day practicing martial arts in Lin's hometown. The strength is also continuing to grow. On this day, Mr. Pei was practicing martial arts at Mr. Lin's house. Mr. Lin sat aside and sighed. It stands to reason that after the age of 20, the muscles and bones of an ordinary person have stopped developing, so the plasticity of martial arts training is much lower. That's what people often say about talent. But you? Thinking back to Pei Jun's cultivation speed in the past few days, Mr. Lin could only sigh. Excellent talent. Pei Jun looked calm. It's not that he is arrogant, but that he has been diligently visualizing the sunset and hanging drums every day. His physique has become closer to the Vajra-glazed body, and his cultivation talent has naturally increased day by day. Coupled with the daily spiritual energy training, if this talent is not good, it is really unreasonable. Your chicken step has now entered the room, and you can proceed to the next step. As Lin Laojun was talking, a deafening roar suddenly came from the sky and the earth, and everyone felt that the ground under their feet suddenly began to tremble. The earth dragon turned over. Mr. Lin suddenly exclaimed. Pei Jun's expression also changed drastically, and he quickly pulled Mr. Lin and ran out of the room. At this time, many people on the street outside the door felt the tremor and ran out to avoid danger. At this time, everyone looked at the surrounding world in horror. Pei Jun also looked solemn as he looked at the towering Tianmu Mountain in the distance. He felt that the concentration of spiritual energy in Tianmu Mountain began to increase rapidly at this time. On top of Tianmu Mountain, there is the Lion Zhengzong Zen Temple. As the mountain shook just now, all the monks in the temple gathered in the front yard of the temple, and everyone looked at the world around them in horror. There seemed to be a faint sound of Buddha singing from the surrounding heaven and earth, and some monks even saw the phantoms of arhats and bodhisattvas emerging between the heaven and earth. Everyone exclaimed, "The true Buddha comes to the world." No one saw that in a closed meditation room in the backyard, the ancient Diamond Sutra that Pei Jun had observed a few days ago was gradually suspended in the air. And the entire ancient book began to emit a faint golden light. But in the blink of an eye, the golden light on the ancient book dissipated again and fell on the table. The sunset hanging drum visualization picture and the Sanqing bell and other magical weapons and spiritual treasures placed in the dormitory where Pei Jun lived also had strange phenomena at this time. Not just Tianmu Mountain, all the famous rivers and swamps in the world had more or less strange phenomena at this moment, and those magical weapons and spiritual treasures that had been silent for thousands of years also reawakened at this moment. There is only 1 month left before Shinwa's revival. International news. Sakurajima volcano in Kagoshima Prefecture, Sakura Country, erupted. Clouds and fog appeared on Mount Fuji. Experts predict that the countdown to the eruption of Mount Fuji volcano has begun. Close black lens bracket. Domestic news. A mirage reappeared in Kunlun Mountain yesterday, and an inspection team lost contact in the mountain. Close black lens bracket. Domestic news. Another earthquake was felt in the Kinling Mountains. Witnesses said they heard a shocking roar of dragons coming from deep in the Kinling Mountains last night. Close black lens bracket. Domestic news. A few days ago, the sound of Buddha was heard in Tianmu Mountain. It was said that the true Buddha had come to the world, which attracted many tourists to worship. Close black lens bracket. Several days have passed since the earthquake that occurred that day, but the impact of the incident has not subsided. The visions of Nagawa Osawa are becoming more frequent. Some people even reported seeing ancient objects floating in their homes and miracles appearing. Major museums around the world are beginning to close. Everything in the world began to grow crazily, and some people even saw dead trees blooming in spring, and dead trees sprouting buds. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is getting stronger and stronger. Peiju stood on the cliff, overlooking everything in the mountains. Since the great changes in the world that day and the spiritual energy in the world increased again, Peijun returned to Tianmu Mountain and has been concentrating on cultivation. There is only 1 month left before Shinwa's revival. The continuous great changes in the world in recent days have made him feel more and more urgent. At the same time, he also wanted to use the increasingly rich spiritual energy between heaven and earth to enter the extraordinary realm as soon as possible. Now is the time for breakthrough. Peijun withdrew his gaze and sat cross-legged on the cliff. The Infinite Life Sutra started to run automatically, and the rich spiritual energy in the body, which was already like a stream, began to swim crazily in Peijun's limbs and 5 internal organs. The blocked meridians were cleared one by one, and the impurities remaining in the body began to be continuously forced out of the body, and the body quickly moved closer to a clean body. Under Peijun's fair skin, there are countless golden lines that are constantly swimming and intertwining like snakes, all over Peijun's body, shrouding his entire body in golden light. Behind him, a vague majestic Vajra image slowly emerged. The Vajra's angry eyes were threatening the world. And just when Peijun broke through, in a dilapidated bungalow somewhere in Hangzhou, several powerful figures stood in the room. There is a person lying in the room. If Peijun were present, he would have discovered that the person lying in the room was the stall owner who sold him the Sanqing bell that day, stall owner Wu. At this time, stall owner Wu was covered in blood and looked at the people in the room with a desperate expression. I feel so regretful. He hated himself for why he still set up a stall. The stall fee had expired at the beginning of the month, and he was not even planning to set up a stall, but he didn't expect that he would kill a fat sheep that day. This gave him the idea of continuing to set up a stall again. Then we went to the ghost market. He also hated himself for being so talkative. A few days ago, when the world changed, a gourd in my house had a magical phenomenon. I went to the market and told many people about it. My idea at the time was to sell it at a high price, but I didn't expect. Unexpectedly, this group of people was attracted. At this time, a figure playing with an old gourd said in a cold tone, "Have you thought about it? Say, or don't tell." I said. Stall owner Wu shouted quickly and said intermittently, "The thing. I picked it up in a dilapidated Taoist temple when I was collecting things in the village." "Where is the location?" "Dongyugo, Shashan village." "Besides this, what else did you pick up?" The figure who finished plating the gourds squinted his eyes and looked at stall owner Wu fiercely and asked. Stall owner Wu hesitated. Suddenly he stepped on his head, and the figure who had finished the gourd said with murderous intent in his voice, "Don't say yes." As he kept exerting force on his feet, stall owner Wu wailed in pain. I said. There are 2 more items, but they were sold some time ago." Stall owner Wu wailed. Yes, I swear." Stall owner Wu frantically said the information he knew in order to survive. "I still have his contact information. In WeChat, the note is, fat sheep." "Fat sheep. Huh." The figure playing gourd stood up and took the mobile phone that the person beside him took out. He unlocked it with stall owner Wu's broken finger and looked through WeChat. Sure enough, he found a WeChat account with a note about fat sheep. "All right." The figure who had finished plating the gourd released his legs. "Can you let me go?" Stall owner Wu asked, trembling all over. The figure playing the gourd didn't pay attention to stall owner Wu at all, but said coldly to the people around him. Get rid of. No. Stallkeeper Wu wailed, but the wailing ended instantly and the room returned to calm. After a few seconds, someone in the room made a sound, a charming female voice said. We are taking action frequently now, so we won't attract official attention, right? The figure playing with the gourd sneered. Now the officials' eyes are on those Mingchuan days, and they don't have any extra energy to care about us. Besides, it won't be long before the world changes dramatically. The figure playing the gourd continued. But the follow-up still needs to be dealt with. In addition, Wu Da, please go to Shashan village to see if there are any missing artifacts. Qing Mei, led someone to find this fat sheep and take back the other two things. Tianmu Mountain. After half a day, Pei Jun's breakthrough has reached a critical moment. The red sun was spinning in his eyes, golden light was floating around Pei Jun, and there seemed to be waves of Buddha's voice echoing between heaven and earth. As the spiritual energy in Pei Jun's body became more and more surging, the Vajra Dharma behind him became more and more clearly visible, and even the six-armed phantom began to appear around the Dharma. The golden lines flowing between the skin are becoming more and more dazzling, and even the skin is completely blended. Pei Jun's whole body is free of dirt, and the energy in his body is like a tide. Finally, with a long roar, the momentum around Pei Jun suddenly surged, gravel flew and the trees roared. The spiritual energy in Pei Jun's body became more powerful, continuously gathering in the dantian in his abdomen, and even began to faintly liquefy. The Vajra Dharma behind him skyrocketed to several meters in height, overlooking the mountains and forests. The golden lines on the skin are becoming more and more dazzling, and even the skin is faintly emitting a golden light, making people feel indestructible. Pei Jun opened his eyes, and the red sun in his eyes became even brighter. After being reborn for a month, today I finally transcended the mortal body and achieved an extraordinary state, reaching a state that took more than 2 years to reach in my previous life. The realm of transcendence, the official name of the past life, is similar to the foundation of Taoism and the innateness of martial arts. The existence of preliminary transcendence. Pei Jun closed his eyes, expanded his consciousness, and the scenes around the cliff instantly appeared in his mind. This is divine consciousness. And Pei Jun was surprised to find that the range and intensity of his spiritual consciousness now far exceeded those in his previous life, and actually reached a range of 10 meters. You know, the range of extraordinary spiritual consciousness that a normal person in the previous life could enter was only within a 4-meter range. But now Pei Jun has more than doubled. Maybe it's because of the mysterious technique. In addition, after entering the extraordinary realm, you can also use spells and royal weapons. When Pei Jun thought about it, he saw the Sanqing bell hanging on his waist suspended in the air for an instant. When Pei Jun thought about it again, he heard the Sanqing bell ringing without wind. The world stood still for a moment. A lot of the spiritual energy in Pei Jun's body has also been taken away, but he is much more comfortable than before. After letting go of his thoughts, Pei Jun waved his hands again. He saw a sudden rustling sound coming from the surrounding trees, and several vines like long snakes were winding towards Pei Jun. The art of spirit vine, one of the 9th-level arts practiced in the previous life. Pei Jun waved his hands again, and saw the vines receding, and blazing flames suddenly appeared in Pei Jun's hands. Arson, one of the 9th-level spells practiced in the previous life. 9th-level spells are the lowest level of Taoist spells and are also the main spells that Pei Jun mastered in his previous life. As for going further up, there are very few. Spells are also one of Pei Jun's goals after his rebirth, but it is not easy to retain the spells. Most of them are stored in the cave heaven in the Blessed Land. We have to wait until the revival of the myth comes completely. At the same time, the magical power of Vajra indestructibility has also been greatly improved. By operating the magical power, golden lines flowed under Pei Jun's skin. Pei Jun clenched a fist with one hand and punched the boulder beside him. With a bang, the boulder collapsed. But Pei Jun's fist was not damaged at all. Pei Jun estimates that he can now move freely in the waterfall impact. And, as soon as Pei Jun thought, a majestic and mysterious Vajra Dharma appeared in the void behind him. Pei Jun looked excitedly at the increasingly clear figure of the Dharma and the 6 arms that were gradually added. Even if he hasn't activated it yet, Mr. Pei has already felt the power of the terrifying coercion of the law. Definitely a big help. In general, the strength in all aspects has been greatly improved. After spending some time getting familiar with the extraordinary realm, Pei Jun jumped off the cliff as the sky turned dark. Pei Jun landed steadily, then jumped up and headed towards the temple. The temple was closed at this time. Pei Jun entered the temple through the back door and walked towards the dormitory while thinking about his next plan. Now that the strength has greatly increased and the revival of Shinhwa is imminent, it is time to speed up the follow-up plan. As soon as Pei Jun entered the courtyard where the dormitory was located, his footsteps suddenly stopped. The scattered thoughts stopped instantly, and Pei Jun suddenly raised his head. He looked solemnly at the dormitory in front of him. Divine consciousness spread out instantly. I saw in my consciousness that there were actually a few more people in the dormitory that should have been empty. At this time, several people were rummaging around in the room. "Did you find it?" One of the female voices with a charming voice said. "No, no." The remaining people responded one after another. "Did that stall owner lie to us?" When he heard the word, stall owner, Pei Jun, who was outside the room, looked down at the Sanqing bell on his waist. "Probably not. I asked someone to check the photo, and it is indeed the person from that day." "Is it on him? Then wait until he comes back." Several people in the room spoke one after another, but as soon as they finished speaking, there was only a creak of the door. The closed door slowly opened, and everyone in the room was startled. Their hands froze, and they looked at the door with shocked expressions. Just heard a faint voice. "Are you waiting for me?" Pei Jun walked slowly from the door and glanced at the people in the room with an indifferent expression. Just like what the divine consciousness scanned, there were 4 people in the room, 1 woman and 3 men, all wearing black coats and hiding in the darkness. As for the strength of these 4 people, now that his strength has greatly increased, he is looking for someone to practice his skills with. Get familiar with the soaring power in your body. The few thieves who came to my door were just right. So Pei Jun glanced at the 4 people in the room with his eyes like a knife, and a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "You are surrounded." Several people in the room were startled when they suddenly saw the door open, but now they looked at each other with strange expressions, and a trace of doubt arose in their hearts. Throw yourself into a trap. Or is there something wrong with your brain? All of them had experienced many battles and instantly suppressed the doubts in their hearts. The voluptuous woman gave the order directly. "Get him." Hearing this, several people in the room quickly moved. The person closest to Pei Jun was a bald man. The bald man was hiding in the shadows behind the door. The moment he heard the woman's voice, he rushed towards Pei Jun. It was as powerful as a leopard, and its swift and violent movements even caused a biting wind. As soon as the woman finished speaking, the bald man rushed to Pei Jun's side and struck hard at Pei Jun's neck with one hand like a knife. Looking at Pei Jun, who had not yet made any move, a sinister smile appeared on the bald man's face. Don't be too simplistic when dealing with ordinary people like this. Get it at your fingertips. In the blink of an eye, the bald man slashed hard at Pei Jun's neck with one hand like a knife. Just when the knife was about to touch Pei Jun's neck, there was a flash of lightning. Pei Jun moved. The bald man's forward movement stopped abruptly. The bald man made a choking sound, and his expression changed drastically. I saw a strong hand pinching the bald man's neck, stopping the bald man from jumping forward. At the same time, he strangled the bald man's life. The bald man looked at Pei Jun, who was smiling evilly, with a horrified expression. He just saw Pei Jun and didn't react at all. He didn't even look at him. And he didn't even see Pei Jun take action. But in the blink of an eye, he was strangled by the neck. How can it be? Thanks for watching, subscribe and support my channel.